Hello and welcome everyone to another Starcraft 2 England cast. This game is between TLO and WhiteRa. It is the fifth game I have cast between these two players from the TLO replay pack, and it was released on the 2nd of March 2012, and as I said, this is now game 5 and there are 6 games in total, so I will very shortly after this be casting the 6th and final game. It is 2-2 at the moment, so I mean both players are probably very keen to win this game, take the lead, and it'll be interesting to see what happens after that. But the map is Cloud Kingdom. We've got Game with Drones, aka TLO, playing as the red Zerg, as the blue Zerg player up in the top right position, and we have got WhiteRa as the red Protoss player in the bottom left position. Now, this map is really good. Obviously, WhiteRa taking advantage of this narrow choke to the natural to get that really early pylon on the low ground. Meanwhile, you also have the key feature of this ramp up to the third. So there's really very easy two-pronged attacks which can go on if you choose to do so. Now, TLO still not got a pull out, so going for quite a delayed pull. He may go pull first, but he has actually been favouring a hatch first build against WhiteRa. Now, that is quite risky, because if WhiteRa was to get that forge out first, then he could cannon up the natural, and does look like TLO is going to be going for that hatch first build yet again, bringing the drone down here ready and positioned, and there he goes. So luckily for TLO, there is no sign of a forge as yet from WhiteRa, so he should be safe to get that down. And actually this probe is going to get taken down by drones, so I mean one way to prevent yourself getting cannoned is by killing the probe in your base, and first blood does go to TLO. Meanwhile, we've got a probe just kind of wandering around WhiteRa's natural, dropping a nexus, so a nexus before anything build going on here, and now positioning himself at the front, ready to ward off. And I mean, this is perfectly safe. The probe didn't see any spawning pool, the spawning pool only just going down now for TLO, so there was absolutely no problem at all with taking that nexus first. Now getting a gateway as well, and I like this because you can still wall off and you can put on early aggression if you want to. But obviously TLO will now need to take this third base relatively quickly, or use his 2 bases to deal significant damage to WhiteRa in order to stop himself getting behind. But at the moment, TLO not taking any gas, so isn't going to be going for any tech route. WhiteRa just getting his first gas now, and kind of boosting out more probes. His nexus is kind of about 2/3 done, and the gateway 3/4 done. So for TLO, we have got this natural base down now, and also just getting his first gas. And obviously there is a probe now running through his base. Not actually getting any Zerglings as of yet, according to the production tab. So just going for mass drones. He doesn't think he needs anything, and he's actually right. I mean, I don't know. That's where he's got the scouting information from. He's seen this overlord come in. He knows the nexus went down first. He knows that the gateway has only just started producing anything, and as a result knows he has no need for Zerglings at all. And this probe is going to be chased away to prevent any kind of proxy pylon around his base anywhere. So TLO's in a good position here, but obviously he is going to be economically behind shortly, because the Protoss player is on 2 bases as well as TLO, and you always want to be 1 base ahead as Zerg. Now both queens have popped pretty much simultaneously, 2 injects off straight away. TLO not choosing to get a third queen as of yet, specifically for creep spread, but this probe will go down pretty quickly because there are some Zerglings chasing him, and eventually Zerglings do catch up, especially if the probe stops. And if we take a look in the main base, speed has just started for TLO, and for WhiteRa, he's completed that wall off, but there has been a drone actually able to get into the base, and that drone is going to be doing a little bit of extractor harassment, preventing that assimilator being taken for WhiteRa anytime soon. And one Zeller won't actually be able to out damage the extractor, but there is a stalker now, and they obviously will be able to out damage the build rate of the extractor. So it is only a matter of time until that does go down, and TLO didn't actually get the cancel, and I don't think TLO will be able to scout that robotics bay going down, robotic facility rather going down. And this is a very similar build to what WhiteRa has done in previous games, where he gets 2 bases up really quickly, 1 gateway, and then goes for a robo facility. And that robo he gets a warp prism out of and goes and harasses TLO. But TLO's got his 3rd base up now, just started it, so should be up fairly quickly. His 3rd and 4th gas are on the way. and his second, third, fourth gas actually are on the way. Second just popped. He's got good saturation at his mineral lines. He's transferring drones to gas. He's just started +1 melee attack. And WhiteRa just taking his third gas, not getting his fourth gas quite yet, and actually getting an observer out of this robo facility rather than the warp prism he's favoured in the previous games. And warp gate tech has now just finished for WhiteRa. He's also got 3 gateways coming out as we speak, morphing in those warp gates from the gateway. So all pretty fairly standard stuff. Meanwhile, there is one Zealot trying to harass this third base, but a lot of speedlings getting a good surround. Hardly anything lost by TLO there, and will prevent any further harassment. So he will be able to get those drones transferred across. And now a Spire on its way for TLO. And I mean, a Spire is a good choice. He hasn't actually gone Spire or utilised it significantly in the previous matches, but he does know this robotics facility is there, and does know the WhiteRa liked getting a Colossus out early. And obviously the only way to deal with Colossus effectively as a Zerg is to get Corruptors, so that Spy is good. Also means that he can get Mutalisks out fairly quickly, and that can do a lot of harassment. But we've got a Forge and Robotics Bay, as well as 2 more gateways coming out for WhiteRa, so we are going to see that super early Colossus play he's favoured in some of the previous matches, and he's just going to keep warping in units. It's going to probably be a +1 timing push, I would imagine, from the fact that the Forge is already down. And the Spire still only about 3/4 of the way done, but WhiteRa has got this observer in TLO's base, so knows exactly what is going on here. +1 is about 3/4 finished, so should be finishing up very, very shortly. Meanwhile, a lot of spines going down. TLO has scouted this big push coming in, knows there's an Immortal, quite a few Stalkers, a great pylon placement, and there's no Zerglings on the field in order to be able to take that out as of yet. I mean, that Immortal is going to absolutely wreck the Spine Crawlers, and the Spines aren't down at all. I mean, they should be able to get taken out before they even finished, all 3 having to get cancelled. And I mean, this third base is probably going to go down now. Immortals do incredible damage to buildings and armoured units, so there's nothing that TLO can do to keep that up. And that was a really big gain for WhiteRa there. He has got the food advantage temporarily, but 14 Mutalisks are on the way now for TLO, and not very much which can shoot up for WhiteRa. He's got 1 Stalker and 4 Sentries, but has got a pylon in here. But with so many Mutalisks, he could take really, really significant losses here. Going to focus down the Stalker firstly, because obviously that's the only thing which can damage the Mutalisks effectively. More Stalkers are warping in. A great use of Guardian Shield. Obviously, Guardian Shield really reduces the damage Mutalisk can do to the Protoss army. And the Zealots and Immortals just moving back, but a lot of Stalkers here will force TLO to pull that Mutalisk flock back, but more Mutas are on the way out, a lot of Zerglings as well. The Zerglings are +1 melee attack, 12 more on the way, as well as the 3 Mutalisks. Some Stalkers getting picked off, Zerglings just being used to try and draw some of the fire of the Stalkers, but more Stalkers getting warped in. And I mean, TLO is going to take some big losses on these Mutalisks, and the sheer fact that so many more Stalkers are getting warped in is going to force TLO to pull backwards again, and this isn't good, because all while WhiteRa has got this front warping position, he can just keep resupplying his army and deal a lot of damage. And TLO's only really got Roaches and Mutalisks to deal with this. No Roach Warren, as I can see, no Infestation Pit, and no third base, which is really key. Is about to finish his third base out of position, but WhiteRa also getting up his third base, and has actually pulled this attack back. I mean, WhiteRa knows that he's in a good position because he has prevented that third base from staying up of TLO, so he is on equal bases again, and only temporarily though. TLO has now just thrown down his 4th base, and this Mutalisk flock is coming in, but a lot of cannons are coming down now for WhiteRa. Doesn't get the cancel off on one of the cannons, but a lot of Stalkers are coming in, picking off 1 or 2 Mutalisks, and the key to making Mutalisks effective is you have to get a large number of them in order to deal with Stalkers. But this is good positioning. Some Zealots are probably going to go down here, and I mean, every free kill you get with Mutalisks is damage you don't take. Meanwhile, a lot of Zerglings are attacking the front, and that Immortal is going to go down, which, to be honest, wasn't doing very much because there was no Roaches out for TLO as of yet, not even any Roach Warren. But these Stalkers should be able to force back the Mutalisk Zergling army and allow that third base to finish up for WhiteRa, which is obviously key. The third base of TLO is done. The 4th base about to finish as well, but the observer is there, so knows exactly what's going on. I don't actually think WhiteRa is aware of this 4th base here, but that is again key. It's keeping TLO 1 base up on WhiteRa. The first Colossus is actually on its way out, Extended thermal lance hasn't been researched yet, so we'll probably expect to see that shortly. And actually +2 ground weapons are on the way now for WhiteRa as well, so it's a +1 army, and that Colossus needs to come out quickly in order to deal with all of these Zerglings. And there's just so many Mutalisks and so many Zerglings. Some good blink play there, good blink micro, just getting this choke point to really mean that the Zerglings can't get around on the Stalkers. Quite a lot of Zealots are morphing in, and I mean these Mutalisks are just cleaning up, and that's purely because TLO has been able to build up quite a good flock of Mutalisks, and is now going to focus fire down that Colossus. And that Colossus, if it does go down as it did just fall, means that TLO is in a great position here. He's at nearly double the supply of WhiteRa, and I mean at double supply you're in a great position. He is on 4 bases as well, getting just more Zerglings out, getting his +1 armor upgrade, picking off a couple more Stalkers. I mean there's nothing to defend this mineral line. Loads of probes are falling, and this 3rd base is almost certainly going to go down. There's no Colossus out, there's hardly any units for WhiteRa at the moment, and that 3rd base is going to fall, putting WhiteRa back to 2 bases to that of the 4 of TLO. And this was a good engagement. TLO absolutely playing brilliantly here, and I mean WhiteRa is going to have to do a lot to come back from this. A good blink forward, using the high ground to pick off a couple of Zealots, but just so many Stalkers here, and the Stalkers are focus firing down the Mutalisks, but the Mutalisks are focus firing down that Cybernetics core. Now that Cyber core is down, it makes the Mutalisks even more effective. Zerglings streaming in, there are a lot of cannons here, but every Stalker which dies now means the Mutalisks become a lot more effective, because WhiteRa has no way to reinforce with more Stalkers. Now his Cybernetics core has gone down, and I mean this is a great position for TLO. He's over double the food now of WhiteRa, and it is just a matter of time unless WhiteRa actually going for the Dark Shrine now. Can't actually find it. Here we go. The Dark Shrine is on its way down, and that's kind of a desperation move. The DTs could do a lot of damage, but I think there must be some detection out. No, there's absolutely no detection for TLO at the moment. He doesn't have a observer or any spore crawlers. The Cybernetics core getting rebuilt now for WhiteRa, and the back of his base actually, so doesn't want that to fall again anytime soon. But I mean by putting it at the back, Mutalisks could clump up here quite nicely and deal quite heavy damage without taking too much fire from either the cannons or the Stalkers. But meanwhile TLO, he's just going for mass drones. If we take a look at the unit counting station, it's 98 drones, so real Game of Drones style of play. He's actually getting up a spore crawler down the back here to deal with any form of detection, so those DTs are going to be useless at this 4th base. There's one at the 3rd base, and one now coming down at the entrance to his main and natural. So to be honest, these DTs aren't going to do anything, and that's not good for WhiteRa. They were kind of his only saving grace to get back into this game, and since they are going to get shut down so heavily, there's not much that's going to happen. And even an Overseer coming down now as well, and I mean, there aren't any units here as of yet, but it'll only take a couple of seconds to get them across. The DTs are going to focus down the Spore Crawler, but obviously the sheer fact that there is an Overseer in position means that they will get taken down without doing any damage apart from killing one Spore Crawler off. Now, the Mutalisk flock is getting pretty big, and there's the GG from WhiteRa. So, a very good game by both players. TLO showing just how effective Mutalisks can be, and actually showing how to counter WhiteRa's previous builds of getting that one gateway, one robo Colossus build he's favoured. So, thanks for watching, and I'm going to go and cast the final game of this series now, so go and flick over to that. Thanks for watching.